What's up, everybody? I'm gonna give some tips on how at least I'm doing my 13th gen F-150 dash swap. I have an 18 F-150 just because there's nothing out there on kind of what you need to cut and stuff like that and how to fit it in there right. So I'm halfway done with mine. So I figured this would be a good time to give a little update. But pretty much take your dash skin out completely. And I'm moving all my switches and stuff like that. I'm not really making anything on the new dash work. I'm putting it all in myself. Then you're going to take your new dash, take it apart, take it down to the skin, make it as light as possible. That glove box is really heavy, so just for fitting's sake, I'd say take it out. Then you're going to trim along this whole line down the back. And you can do whatever you want for your defrost. You know, some people take and just take the speaker out of the center and do that. I'm going to take and just drill some holes or put in a defrost duct right here on the edge. And I'm going to mark it. And then on the back side, what I did was just for added reinforcement, I took some of the bracketry and added it back, just kind of chopped it up just so it wouldn't flex so much when I'm trying to fit it. And it does add some stabilization. You need the bottom piece if you're using a center console, since that has the screw pockets for the center console. On the console side, I've got to do this before I do the final fit. Basically just take and trim this out all the way down here and come back. I may have to trim mine all the way back because of how I built my seat bracket. I won't know till I do final fit. But basically you want to sit it on this. My truck was wrecked, so I have to piece this back together first. But the center console itself is in okay shape. For free, I'm not complaining. But onto the dash itself, what you want to do is basically take everything down, take your HVAC box down to move your wiring, and where to cut. I trimmed this one back, it sticks out to here, cut it back down so you got more room. And then I cut my HVAC box off right here where the fuse box goes, because what you want to do, you want to turn this sideways so you can get to it out of the outside panel. And I'm going to make a little bracket so it sits, just flush, try to move everything around. I'm bringing my light switch that used to sit here down where the light switch is in the new dash. So I'm just taking it out and putting the new switch there. My HVAC controller, I'm reusing it. It used to run through here and it wouldn't come out far enough. So once the HVAC box was down, just take and run it back through, run it through this middle pocket, and it gives you plenty of room to come out to where that dash is. And then, your radio stuff and all that. And for the actual, oh yeah, one thing on the dash, the other thing you're going to have to do to make it flush is this back pocket. You need to cut this right here, or it'll hit the defrost duct and it won't go all the way up. So that's what I had to do, and it fits flush with the top now, or with the windshield. So then you have about this much clearance after I did some trimming on the inside of that dash too for some more clearance. This barely. The shifter, you're talking about it clears by like that much. May do a bend right here. It just depends on when it's done, how I see fit. But I just had some tack screws here on each side just to hold it in place when I had it up. But basically just try to make a little bracket here on each side. This is my plan for the top. Kind of do it like the new dash, like the old dash was, since it had 2 bolt holes. You can buy this stuff at Home Depot, Lowe's, in the metal section, or Tractor Supply. I got it in one of those 3, I can't remember. But it comes in a long stick. And you cut it however you need to. So what you do is just bend it to shape. Put a screw here, put a screw here. Bend it down a little bit. And you see I've got mine marked where I'm going to cut it. That way I've got some options. And I'm going to do all 4. And what I plan on doing is when they're cut and all that's in, get my center console trimmed, put everything back in here. Once it's all back in here, push it up like it's supposed to go against the windshield, go up through the body or up through the center of it, and take and mark with a paint marker or something like that, like up through here onto the dash. Drill a hole through the dash, take a nut, weld it to the back side So you don't have to sit there and hold to some stupid nut. You just boom, put the dash up there and screw it down. That way you can use one of the original, black screws or whatever. If you have, most of you have black dash, you just clean it up, paint it, whatever. So it's not as noticeable, since it'll, it won't be like perfect, but this is for your average Joe. This ain't a $20,000 job by any means. I got this truck cheap and I wanted it to look cool. I was able to come across an 18 dash for basically nothing. And I said, well, I measured it. It's 62 inches wide. Truck's 63 inches wide on the inside. I said, well, it'll fit. So we'll make it work. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I think I covered everything where I'm at so far. I got new carpet in here and stuff like that. I'm doing the whole interior black. So that's the plan. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with the back seat, how I want to build that bracket. I've got 14 F-150 front seats, 10-way power. Found out using Swap Helper's seat helper kit that says for Super Duty. I talked to Lewis from over there from Swap Helper, and me and him had a discussion looking at wiring diagrams and such. I went ahead and just paid him. He sent me a pre-production harness, and I tested these F-150 seats. They do work heated, cooled works. His switches are really cool. So, the amount of time he's put into that harness is awesome. And it is well worth the money, I think, for a factory fit. Because he gives you connections that, it plugs in. It just straight plugs in. Especially if you're doing like me, you got a new carpet. You can run that under the carpet. It looks factory fit and finish. Really neat. I wanted OBS with heated and cooled seats because it's hot in Alabama. Really hot. All the time. So that's pretty much where I'm at. And the other thing I was going to show you was the center panel. I'm using a Boss floating 10-inch screen. And I'm going to go back here with some black screws and just trim the face off. I've got it mounted. I run this thing as far as it would go forward. That way it sits, the actual float faces back, but you still have enough finger room to get to these. And then this trim panel, I cut it a little too wide. It doesn't quite fit. So the plan is cut it even wider, just a little bit more, so you can see all 4 holes on each side of this control panel. Okay. Then I'm gonna go ahead and run some screws, same way I did this. Run some holes, run some screws, whatever I need to do. Trim them. I've got some black wood grain overlay. It's going to go over this, over the vents and stuff like that. Excuse me. And I plan on, taking my time and really just cutting that out on the overlay as close as I can. So it'll cover all this up. And then the other thing is, where the HVAC used to be, I'm putting my brake controller right here. I'm just going to stick it out of here. And then I cut a bigger hole to put my gauges instead of having a pillar gauge. Because, if we're just swapping over our old parts, we're going to have a lot of empty holes. So if you got gauges, fill them up. So, like over here, I've got those 2 gauges. I'm still waiting on my trans temp gauge. This is where the 4-wheel drive switch was, since this is 4-wheel drive. It's already got a hole here. I'm going to take a piece of black plastic, mount it in there so it looks flush, and then go ahead and just drill another hole, put another gauge here. Probably do the same for here. My wait to start is not on my switch. Someone has already put a push button for the wait to start. I may mount it here. Like I said, this isn't a paid for perfect job, and I'm just doing it for my own benefit, my own truck. But because there's nobody out there that I've seen that said anything about how to do this, I'm going to tell you. Because, we're in a community where we need to share this knowledge and do cool stuff. So, if you want to put a 13th Gen F-150 dash, it will work. Will it take some time? Yeah. In and out. But I'll save you a little bit of trouble from figuring that out. And, we'll just kind of go from there. I'll post some updates as they get closer. I got to go to the beach this weekend, but once I get these cut out, I get everything set back in here, then I'll finish wiring everything up. And it's pretty cool, pretty cool deal going on. Still waiting on my headliner. This is a Centaurus truck, so it had the lights that run all the way down. and they're over here. I'm gonna stain them black. So I've already got this painted black. This is the big center part that went up in that headliner. So I'm using Sim Color Coat for that as well. So yeah, tell me what you guys think. Hope this helps. You know, help me support the channel. Subscribe, because it helps me out a lot. So, because I like, you know, providing cool stuff for y'all. And we'll see you next time.